Welcome back, everyone. To finish off our series of lectures on actually working with object-oriented programming in Python, we're going to talk about special methods. Special methods allow us to use some built-in operations in Python, such as the length function or the print function, with our own user-created objects. To get an idea of how this all works, let's jump to a Jupyter Notebook. Let's start off with a simple example. I'm going to create a list, 1, 2, 3, and then let's say I wanted to check the length of my list. Well, I could just call len on my list. What if I wanted to check the length of one of my own objects? So to show you what's going to happen is if I create my own sample class, and it's a very simple class, we just say pass here. I create an instance of my sample, and then try to check the length of my sample. What's going to happen is I get a type error. Object of type sample has no length. And maybe I want to try to print out my sample. So I say print sample, and I just get back the report of where my sample object is located at my memory. Unlike my list, where if I tried to print it out, I would actually get back my list in a string form. So the question arises, how am I able to actually use built-in Python functions such as length or print with my own user-defined objects? And this is where those special methods come into play. So special methods, some people also call them magic methods or dunder methods because they use double underscores, work in the following manner. And there's more special methods than what we're going to show here, but for now, these are the main ones you're going to be using. I'm going to create a book class, and we'll say init, and init was the first special method we learned about, and it's special because it's basically called automatically when you create the object. So our books are going to have a title, an author, and pages. And what we're going to do here is say self.title of the book is equal to the title you pass in when you create it. The author attribute is equal to the author you pass in when you create it. And then the pages attribute is equal to the pages that you pass in when you create your instance of your book. And let's imagine I wanted to print out my book. Right now, if I say b is equal to book, where the title is Python Rocks, let's say the author is Jose, and it has 200 pages. If I try to print my book, it just says, hey, you have this book object in memory. What happens is when you call the print function, what the print function does is it asks, what is the string representation of b? So if I try to cast or transform b into a string, what happens is I just get a string version of this report when I print it. Instead, what we can do is actually use the special method related to that string call, which is underscore underscore str underscore underscore. And what this does, if there's ever any function that asks for the string representation of your book class, then it's going to return whatever this method returns, which is why it's a special method. And make sure you use return here, not print. And I'm going to return whatever I want to be printed out. So when I print out a book, it might make sense to kind of print out a lot of things. So we'll use an f-string literal format. I will say self.title by self.author and shift enter here. So what happens is when I'm going to call the print function asks the book object, hey, do you have a string representation of yourself? To which the book object then says, yes, I do, because I have this special str method, and I return this string, where the string, using f-string literal formatting, I can actually pass in self.title, so it grabs this title, and self.author, so it grabs this author. So let's rerun these cells, and now if I say print b, I get back Python Rocks by Jose. So if I ask for the string representation, it's the same thing, because the print function, all it does is it prints out what string representation returns back. So that's the special method for strings and printing in general. Next, we can do the same thing for length, because right now if I try to check the length of my book b, it says, hey, object of type book has no length. So as you may have guessed, the special method that goes along with this is len, and we're going to say self here, and then we can return back whatever we want to be printed out when you ask for the length of the book. And here, it probably makes the most sense to just return back the number of pages the book has. So we'll return back self pages. I rerun these things, and when I print these books out and ask for their length, I get back 200. Finally, what we could do is, let's say we wanted to delete a book. What you can do is you can call the keyword del, space, and then pass in the variable name, and that will actually delete that book from the memory on your computer. So if you ask for B again, it's going to say name error, B is not defined. So this is a way to delete variables from your computer's memory. Sometimes you may want to print out a report upon deleting the variable, or you may want other things to occur when you delete the variable. In order to basically specify extra things that may occur when you call delete, you can use underscore underscore del underscore underscore self, and then we can add certain things to happen when you actually delete an instance of the book. So I will say print a book object has been deleted. And then I will say shift run here, or shift enter. Let's define our book again, and let's print out the book. I'll do alt enter here to get some cells below. So I printed out my book. Let's check to make sure the book still exists. Print B, and then to delete the variable, I can say del B. And now when I run this, I get out the extra statement, a book object has been deleted. So when I call B again, it's now deleted, B is no longer defined, and I was able to add a print statement to maybe give the user more information when they use the special del keyword. All right, those are the main special methods that you're going to be using as you're just starting off with Python. You can check the documentation for many more dunder or special or magic methods, but really these are the main ones you're going to be using, especially str and len. So again, str, it returns back the actual string representation, so you can print out user-defined objects. Len returns back the length, so you can return back the length of user-defined objects. And that ends our discussion on object-oriented programming. Let's now test your skills with a homework assignment and a small challenge project.